The date today is the 20th of January 2009, and next week sees the release of Pramtown. And at the time of filming today, I have nearly completed the follow-up album to Pramtown as well. It's an album called Essex Arms. But I've had the idea for a little while that these two albums should be part of a trilogy, that I should write 3 albums about Essex. And I've also had the idea for maybe a month or two that the third album, the album that I'm about to start writing, should be historical. I thought it would be good to do an album set way in the past. My friend Julia told me about a book on the Essex witch trials. It was in 1645. There was a war raging between the parliamentarians and the royalists for control of the country. It was a fearful time, and the strongly Puritan Essex seemed especially paranoid of things that seemed to be ungodly or devilish. And Matthew Hopkins was the self-appointed witch-finder general. He went about the villages of Essex and Suffolk and charged a lot of money to identify witches, and brought about trials which resulted in their execution. Over 100 women were executed during these trials, and they were often widows, often poor and often on the fringe of society. And I felt that there was a story in here somewhere, a very sad and tragic story. Not a story about the supernatural, but a story about fear and what fear can bring us to do.
How much further, Matthew?
You'll not call me Matthew. I'm not one of your drinking cronies carousing and wenching in the taverns.
Ah, you're not that, sir.
Remember, John Stern, you ride with me only because you help me in my work.
You call it work?
It's the Lord's work, a noble thing.
And a profitable one, the good Lord paying in silver for every hanging.
You would be his niece. Your name, child?
Sarah.
I am Matthew Hopkins, witchfinder. Being his niece, you two may be corrupted by Satan.
What I've been doing really is mostly reading lots of books. I've been reading The Witchfinders by Malcolm Gaskill. I've been reading Essex Witches by Glyn Morgan. English Civil War, A People's History by Diane Purkis. And lots more. The Witch in History, A History of Essex. Simon Sharma, A History of Britain, good old Sharma. Historical and Political Ballads and Songs of the Stuart Era. I guess I showed you those books to make me seem more clever than I really am, and it's a strange sort of research for something like this, because I'm not really expecting to use a lot of the information in these books, but I'm trying to build up a background knowledge. I'm trying to build up a mood. I've also managed to write 6 pieces of music. So often what I'm doing is I'm carrying around my mobile phone, and at the unlikeliest time the musical ideas seem to hit you. So for instance, I was just getting ready to leave the house with my wife 2 weeks ago, and I had an idea literally as Helen was upstairs putting her shoes on, and I was able to grab a ukulele and grab my mobile phone. So I recorded this. doesn't sound like anything at all, but I can recognise when I do a melody that's a little different to what I usually do, something that's a little interesting. So I thought one thing I could do in this video is show the life of that song from its first idea to its completion. Okay, I'd like to tell you where I took that idea, a song that's being called Impossible Times. So the song idea that I put on the mobile phone. The first thing I did is I created a drum beat using my 707 drum machine, one of my many drum machines, and I made this drum beat, and then I added the ukulele. Then I added some bass. And that's the recipe for making love. But what I wanted to do is I wanted a linking musical theme. I've got a couple of ideas for how to do that, but one is that I wanted the percussion to sound a little unconventional, and I wanted some kind of rural broken sounds. So on my MPC 2000 drum machine, which is quite old now, but if it's good enough for RZA, it's good enough for me. And I went out with a mini disc player and collected metal clanging sound from gates. I also recorded bits of wood. Some of these sounds are musical instruments used in unconventional ways, so the door on my piano being slammed, the backs of guitars being hit. And so the idea is that these will feature on nearly all or most of the songs and create a continuity and an atmosphere. So anyway, them together sounded like this. So I created a rhythmic wood background to which, when the other instruments are added, and now I've taken out the drum machine. We are alive through impossible times. Past that.
Yeah?
It sounds like you're having more fun. That's always right, isn't it?
Yeah, does feel more natural.
Yeah. You
It
should be having fun whilst the witches are getting
killing each other. But it may be harder to do a complete take, to be honest. But
yeah. These days,
I hear there's technology for that.
Well, I'm here in Lawford, which is just a short way out from Manningtree in north of Essex, and this church quite clearly isn't 17th century, but it is in Lawford that Rebecca and Anne West, two accused witches, came from. They were accused by Prudence Hart for killing her unborn child, for making her miscarry. And it was one of the key early witch accusations that set off Matthew Hopkins and the witch trials. And Rebecca West was the daughter of Anne West, and she dobbed them in. It was her confession. She changed her story several times and made this confession which caused her mother to be hung and many other women in this area. And it would appear that Rebecca West got off scot-free, or she, at least there's no real account of her, she disappeared from history. And so this part of the story is something I think I'm going to try and write some songs about, or base part of the album on. The reason I'm talking quietly is because I'm quite embarrassed about talking about witches, and my wife's just over there with the dog, and she really has her doubts about this whole idea, so that's why I'm filming quite surreptitiously. This is the Fawn Inn in Missley, just next to Manningtree. It is reportedly built on the site where Matthew Hopkins once lived. It is rumoured his ghost can be heard at night across the River Stour. I got my wife to book the haunted Witchfinder's suite for us. She was very embarrassed when she had to ask on the phone. Only a few witches were actually hung in Manningtree, but those that were hung here on the green by South Street and close to another of Hopkins' properties. Those who were forced into confession or arrested under dubious proof were taken to Colchester Castle or Framlingham Castle here in Suffolk. Conditions were bad enough that many of the accused witches died before coming to trial. Hello, it's the 30th of January 2010. Since I last did one of these video diaries, I managed to get my skull fractured, which has delayed things a little bit and was very careless of me. Today Dan Mayfield is coming round. Dan has played on the last couple of albums and has been in my band, The Secondary Modern, for a few years now. I'm not sure if we're going to work on something pre-existing or do something live. All of the songs so far have started with just me layering things up, which is right for this record, but I'm just worried it might get a bit too clinical, sterile, and perhaps I should have a few things that are a bit more live based. So we'll see what happens. I'll video what happens when Dan gets here, and we'll see what I come up with. Okay, yeah, so I haven't recorded anything for this album with a live vocal or anything, so I thought even though there's only two of us here, yeah, and not the whole band, it would still be... and everything's been done to click track as well. Everything's been done to click track and time because I want to have like synthesizers and samples and things. So it occurred to me we could maybe not do that, just play. Yeah. But it seems too risky to me. Let me play the song to you. Or I'll just play a verse and a chorus. dog.
To bring in a violin.
Yeah, it's not going to work. Not room for 2 men and a dog in here. There's not room for everyone,
So
Buda.
which one of you lot are going to bugger off?
Oh, baby, the black days will disappear when you get old. Baby, you won't be shaken with the fear. How's that for you?
Some bits. But
It's a little difficult. It's a little bit all or nothing, isn't it? Recording it this way. I mean, I can't really copy bits over or anything, but I probably can drop in. Do you want to listen to it and tell me when there's a bad bit and see if we can patch about, or do you want to just have a go at it again?
we could do it again. There was some sort of, just sounded a bit sort of a rattly.
There's no love or care. Well, you know, like your arpeggio. What about if that picks up when it changes to that G? And that's been the first time I played bass as well, yeah? We could tumble down the banks and skid between the boats. So after this chord,
This is G now.
the ice will hold us. When you get old, baby, black days will disappear. When you get old.
That's too big a change.
That's better. And I no instruction on range either. It doesn't have to be those 5 in the same octave. It can be lower or as high as you like. Okay. Right, I'm gonna run it. I sort of suspected that The Violence was going to end up being a long record, have a lot of songs. I record a lot of songs for all the records, but this time I thought the album itself would end up with a lot of information on it. So I wanted to record with as many different engineers and in as many different situations as possible. My friend Ian Button kind of specialises in recording in remote places, recording in situ, and so we decided to record some songs in a synagogue near Ian in Canterbury. Also, the Secondary Modern, or what is now becoming known as the Long Parliament, it's a very loose collection of musicians. I never think of it as a fixed lineup. And I think all sorts of people are members of the band, even if they've only played with us once or twice. And so on this occasion as well, it was once again a slightly different lineup of the band that we have. Bill and Dan are quite fixed members, but Mikey from Hello Darling was playing drums on us on this occasion, and also Robert Rottifer from Rottifer.
Heart tears the tissue, the bones crack, crumble and fracture over and over again. The veins burst and turn your teeth purple, blue and yellow. Why don't you cry the breath out of your lungs? When you're scared, when you're bruised, when you're broken, when you're used up and spent, hide from the lights, the knives on the hill. Pretend that you're dead. Keep perfectly still. The howl, the shriek. Sorry, it's really irritating. Yeah, if we get time, yeah. Everyone knows where everything is now, do they?
Just make sure it is. Let's keep this.
We're all ready now, though.
Am I starting?
Yeah, try it. Yeah, but that's what we'll do. Okay. We'll do that. When did you give up? Oh, you. When did you give up? When did you give up? Oh, you. When did you give up?
I really enjoyed doing all of the research for this record. It was a large part of wanting to do a subject like this that I would enjoy. The research would make me write unusual songs and unusual lyrics. But I was also concerned that I would be too proud of the research, that the lyrics and the album would end up being like a history lesson. It's very important to me that this main theme of fear and violence came through in the words, and also as a slightly oblique way of writing about something that happened during the making of the record, in that I got attacked quite badly. My skull got fractured by being attacked by about 6 guys. When something like that happens to you, people say, well, you'll write a song about it. But I sort of feel it would be awful if that's the way life was for me, that events were measured in their usefulness for songs, or indeed that my life was readable through the songs. I want it to be less obvious than that. But it did, writing about the witch trials and writing about this time and writing about the fact that the violence was prevalent throughout this violence and fear, this theme, it was useful. It was useful so that the record could still be in some ways about that. It could still be in part about that when I was singing about these things, and that I could invest a little more in these stories, and hopefully that it would mean something more real or tangible to the listener. Here's some footage of a Civil War reenactment. I enjoyed visiting this. It's sort of silly. Who knows whether visiting Civil War reenactment affects the lyrics or the way I work on the album. But some of these visiting locations can make a real difference to the songs. About 3 or 4 times I attempted to find where Matthew Hopkins was buried in Missley, near Manningtree. 3 or 4 times I tried to look where the remains of the church were marked on an ordnance survey, and I couldn't find them. And on the very last time I went with my wife, and she looked over a wall and found the ruins in someone's back garden. And then we saw that sort of twisting out from these ruins was a tree which seemed to have like a laughing face on it. And so it was only through dogged determination of trying to find that I got the idea for this last song on the record, The Laughing Tree, and the idea that Matthew Hopkins would not in fact end up in heaven for his actions, but might actually just rot in the ground like all of us, and might feed this laughing tree